Let's start with the prayers. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. We have come to the 17th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, titled Shraddha Traya Vibhaga Yoga. I gave a brief introduction of this chapter last week. And as I said, this chapter consists of 27 verses. And the main topic in this chapter is Shraddha. You should first understand Shraddha means it is not simple belief. Suppose you say, yes, there is a heaven somewhere in the universe. That is called as blind belief. If you know that something is existing, but you need to verify that yourself. You have a strong notion, you have a faith that this is existing, but it is pending to be verified. That is called as Shraddha. Shraddha is a faith which is pending validity through your own experience. So there is a difference between blind belief of something which somebody has told you, whereas something which you know it exists, but today you don't know how to see that. But through a proper study, you come to know, yes, I can experience it. So that is what is required when you come to Bhagavad Gita. You have full faith in the Shastra, in the scriptures. And then you try to study the Shastra. After the study of Shastra, you can yourself realize what you considered to be a faith before the study becomes reality for you. So Arjuna's question in this chapter is, what are the three types of Shraddha? That is the broad topic in this chapter. So I explained this chart to you last week. As I said, verse 1 is the question, 2 and 3 is Bhagwan's answer. And then Bhagwan describes what are the three types of Shraddha based on the nature of worship. And also based on the object of worship. These are the two ways in which Bhagwan replies to Arjuna's question. Is it Sattvic? If it is Sattvic, then you see what is the person worshipping. Is it a Sattvic Devata or a Rajasic Devata or a Tamasic Devata? And how does he worship? The nature of his worship, that will determine what type of a Shraddha person has. Why do we study this chapter is because we also learn what type of worship we should do in our day-to-day life. When we study this chapter, we understand that we all must develop a Sattvic Shraddha. And then the Lord describes other allied topics related to food, related to yajna, related to tapas and dhanam. Yajna, dana, tapak, karma. These are the yajna, dana, and tapas. These are the three main aspects which Lord wants us to understand in this chapter. So with this small, and there is another section here which says, what is Om Tat Sat? Om Tat Sat are three letters which describe, these are all the names of the Lord only. Om is a name of a Lord, Tat is a name of Lord, Sat is a name of Lord. So by chanting Om Tat Sat, whatever mistakes you may have committed in your rituals, that is pardoned. That's what he says. Now in Tattva Bodha, we have seen 4 qualifications: Viveka, Vairagya, Shama Adi, Shatka Sampatti, and Mumukshutva. Right in the first introductory talk which I gave at the beginning of last year in Tattva Bodha. And these are the 4 qualifications which makes you fit for the study of Bhagavad Gita or Upanishads. We may not have all the 4 qualifications when we start, but slowly as we study, we will get these qualifications more refined in us. And one of this qualification is Shama Adi Shatka Sampatti, which is the inner wealth, the mental wealth, the mental discipline. And what are those 6 disciplines? Samaha, Dama, Uparama, Titiksha, Shraddha, and Samadhana. So here is where Shraddha comes. Faith in the Guru, faith in the Vedanta scriptures, and faith in the entire study program. So you go with full faith that, yes, at the end of the tunnel, I will see the light. There is something which exists, which I don't know today. But with the proper study, I will be able to refine my mind, purify my mind, and see what the Bhagavad Gita wants me to realize. Chapter 14, we have seen, talks about introduction to the Gunas. What are the Gunas? How do they bind us? And what are the ways in which we can get liberated or free from these Gunas? Chapter 16, which we saw till last week, where we saw what are the Daivi Sampat and what are the Asuri Sampat. Now, 17th chapter is talking about Shraddha and the 3 types related to Yajna, Dana, Tapas. The next chapter is the 18th chapter, is the last chapter. Again, it will teach us Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas with reference to another 6 factors. So totally in our study, we'll have about 12 to 13 factors for, which will teach us about Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. So this is how we get a glimpse of what is Shraddha in this chapter. And it helps us to understand and lead our life properly. How is this chapter, the 17th chapter, connected with the 16th chapter? See, what happens in the Bhagavad Gita is every chapter is interlinked. The 6th chapter is linked to the 5th, the 5th is linked to the 4th, and so on. So the 1st is linked to the 18th chapter. Very, very beautifully constructed, well-structured methodology of teaching our real nature. If you have not got the real benefit of a complete clarity in this study, you don't have to worry. Nobody gets this in the first attempt. In the first attempt, when we study the Bhagavad Gita, we only get a glimpse of what the Bhagavad Gita really wants to teach. As we study other texts like Upanishads, the nature of Atma becomes clearer and clearer. The 23rd verse of the 16th chapter says that the one who has kept his impulses of desire under control, he is the one who gets perfection in life, who attains the supreme goal. And then he says, what are the three gates to the, what are the three obstructions for us to realize our nature? And the three obstructions, just to remind you, is Kama, Krodha, Lobha. Kama means lust, Krodha means anger, and Lobha, Kama, Krodha, Lobha. Lobha means greed. So these three are the ones which we should be careful. Whenever these three thoughts arise in us, we have to be alert. We have to follow certain rules of dharma connected with these. Kama, Krodha, Lobha. Lobha should be avoided, Krodha should be avoided, Kama should be dharmic. Then the one who, the script, therefore, in the 16th chapter, it was said that the scripture should be a compass for my life. Anytime I'm confused with certain aspects of life, whether I should do this thing in life, whether I should follow dharma, not follow dharma, right, wrong, you go back to the scriptures, you will find the answer. That's why they say a daily study of the Bhagavad Gita, one verse or two verses a day, will keep you connected with the scriptures, with your life. Just reading. You have all done the 17, 16 chapters now. So if you just read one or two verses and their meanings, it will keep you in touch. And you should make this as a habit, because Bhagavad Gita is a text which we can, it is just we have to see the verse and the meaning. Some of the verses, they may not be applicable immediately, but just take it. And while studying these, even if you do a personal study, you should have a small book and write down the important mantras which you think is important for you. And that way, you will make that study a little bit more beneficial for yourself. How do we control Kama? By Damaha. By control. Dhamma means what? Suppose I see something, I try to restrain my eyes and say, this is not good for me, I will not proceed. It is a practice. It is abhyasa. And one can slowly develop this. It is not that overnight you will be able to do it, but like any yoga, by practice you can get it done. Krodha means anger. This is one of the main problems which most of us face. Little small things make us angry. Why? Because we don't have compassion towards others. So the antidote for Krodha is compassion. In your own mind, you say, I have compassion to everybody. I love everybody in the world. Then you will find that your tendency to become angry will come down drastically. It will come down. Just tell yourself, it is a deliberate thought in your mind which you should put in. Suppose you keep on becoming angry with your daughter or your son or your mother or father or whatever it is. Just tell you in your own mind, you say, no, I really love them and I have full compassion towards them. Okay, there are certain instances in which I do become angry, but okay, I will get over it. This is just a temporary phase of my mind. I will get over it. So that is the way to conquer Krodha. Lobha is greed. What they say is, if you do charity, slowly, small charity you start. donate $5, $10 every month. That way, what will happen is your own greed to accumulate will come down. What is the use? Anyway, I'm going to donate the money. So I don't really need to earn so much. So these are some of the tips of life which we get in this 16th chapter. The 24th verse says that let the scriptures be your authority in what should be done and what should not be done. And in this chapter, the Arjuna is asking, there are three categories of people. One are devatas, who are sattvic by nature. Another are asuras, who are rajasic and tamasic, mixture. Deva, asura, mixture, there is a third category. And what is that category? Now that category does not know the Shastra, but has faith in the Shastra. It has faith that this Shastra is saying something good. But I have not learned the Shastra. I have learned the elders in the society follow the Shastra. I have no opportunity to learn. Now, this is where the third category is what Arjuna is asking the question to Lord and asking him, what type of Shraddha is this? Those who don't know the scriptures, but still they have a faith that there is the scriptures, but they don't know what it is. Is this a Rajasic or a Tamasic or Sattvic Shraddha? To which the Lord gives the answer, and then he describes other aspects also. Normally, the 16th and 17th chapter are studied together. Every teacher always study together means one follow after the 16th, you do the 17th. You don't miss teaching the 17th. With that introduction, let us start with the 17th chapter. Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha Atha Saptadashodhyayaha Shraddha Vibhaga Yogaha. Arjuna Huvacha Eshastra Vidimit Srujya Yajante Shraddhayanditaha Esham Nishtatu Ka Krishna Sattvamaho Rajastamaha. So this is the question. Those who do not have the knowledge of the scriptures, the Shastra, because of their ignorance of the Shastra, they do not lead a Shastric way of life. So this is the first point Arjuna is saying. But they have faith in the elders who respect the Shastra. Now, this type of people, most of us will be like this only. If you analyze ourselves, we may not have really done too much of Shastric study, but we have seen our parents believe and they follow the scriptures and the right and the wrong way of living. They have been following the dharmic way. So here he is asking, what type of people do we call this? Are they sattvic? Are they rajasic? Or are they tamasic? What type of mind do they have? So asuras are who? Those who live life as per their likes and dislikes, as per their instincts. Selfish people. Tamas conquers their sattva. You see, the sattva, rajas, and tamas, you must be very clear, they are the temperament in the mind. This is it is the three gunas in which the mind operates. All the thoughts, they come and go in this mental climate. That climate is called as the guna. Sattva, rajas, tamas. Rajas means activity. Sattva means knowledge. Tamas means inertia. Just to remind you, chapter 14 of the Bhagavad Gita. So devatas are the one who lead life with faith in the Shastra. They use the Shastra. They are the Devi Sampat people. They have controlled kama, krodha, lobha, and they have faith in the Shastra. But Arjuna's category is the third one, which I said is a mixture of both. They don't have guidance because they have not studied. In between, they are in between the two asuras and devas. Now his question is, are these people sattvic or asuric? And the Lord answers this in the second verse. Sri Bhagavan uvacha trividha bhavati shraddha dehinam sa swabhavaja satviki rajaji chaiva tamasi cheti tam shrunu. So what is the Lord telling Arjuna? He's saying faith is of three kinds. Sattvic faith, Rajasic faith, and Tamasic faith. Sattvic faith means pure mind. There are certain ways a pure mind will choose the deity for worship. And a person will follow a certain nature of prayer. The second type is Rajasic. A person with a Rajasic tendency will not choose a Sattvic deity, but he will choose a Rajasic deity. And his performance will be governed by the Rajas. And the third is the dull type, who will choose all wrong deities. He will always be in darkness because he doesn't have the Gunas. So this is the answer to Arjuna's question. But then he will expand on this. He will, in the next few verses, he will start expanding on this particular answer. But here he is giving you a broad guideline of how Shraddha is important in life. And this belief system is also governed by the samskaras, the vasanas which we have developed in the past births or in our current birth in the last so many years of our life. We have seen our parents, our neighbors, our society where we live, they all live with this belief system, and therefore we follow. Shraddha is a belief system writing in the slate of our mind with which we are born. Sometimes what happens is we are born in a particular family background. Therefore, straight away the belief system comes to us directly from our parents. The gross body is created by the parents, the mother and the father. Annamaya kosha, the sthula shariram. It is born out of food, essence of food, it exists in food, it goes back to food. What is the subtle body, the mind? It is born out of this subtle body, the subtle elements, which construct the pranas, manas, buddhi, ahankara, the jnana indriyas, and the karma indriyas. 17 faculties which we possess, which we studied in the Tattva Bodha. So samskaras or vasanas, they are a thread, they are given to us. Some of them we are given, like for example, a thread ceremony. We perform a thread ceremony for a son in the family, and when we do this, what happens is it is a ritual. At the age of 8 or 10, the boy gets a thread ceremony. What does he do in this ceremony? He is initiated into the Veda. He is taught the Gayatri Japam. Gayatri mantra is taught in the thread ceremony. You may not have if you suppose you do not belong to this type of groups, like if you're not a Brahmana or a Hindu, you may not have had this. But in your own culture, you may have got certain other types of ceremonies. So so marriage is another samskara. In order to purify the mind, we have this samskara. The whole marriage ritual, plus our lifestyle in a grihastha. The objective of this is to purify the mind. And what are these vasanas? They are basically inclinations or tendencies one is born with. Shubha vasanas, ashubha vasanas. Shubha vasanas are punya karma. Punya karma means you have meritorious tendencies, auspicious tendencies in us, in your own mind. So the tendency with which you live in life, it is a mixture of both. Human nature is a mixture of good tendency as well as inauspicious, sinful tendencies. Because we are a mixture of divine, the pure consciousness, and the animal nature in us. That is the body. Both, we are a mixture of both. We are moving from the one tendency, we are moving towards the divine tendency. You will find that in some cases, at a very young age, people are able to chant the Bhagavad Gita even at the age of 6. And this is because of Purva Janma Vasanas. And these are tendencies which we are not able to explain in this birth. Someone is a very good singer at the age of 6 or 8. All this goes to prove that our mind is not born when the body is born. The mind exists. It exists in the universe in a subtle field. And whenever a body is born, the mind enters the womb of the body. And then it carries on for one janma. Again, it takes another body. It's a clear proof that the jiva is not the sthula shariram. The jiva is the sukshma shariram. That is the second level of understanding when we study the Bhagavad Gita or any scriptures. The thoughts are prompted by our belief system. Our belief system is swabhavaja. Swabhavaja means natural. It's based on our vasanas, or it can be based on shastric study. We have a Rajasic tendency in us, and we want to get rid of that tendency. That is possible by that is possible. That means we are able to develop the Sattvic nature by removing the Rajasic and Tamasic nature. When we do that, we create a new belief system. For example, we study the Bhagavad Gita now. So when we study the Bhagavad Gita, our thoughts will change. our beliefs will change in life. I will not look at life in the same way after the study of the Bhagavad Gita. As we progress, most of you will realize by now that your thought patterns have changed after the study of the Bhagavad Gita. This is a real progress for a jiva. And this progress is not a small progress, it's a giant leap, because the Shastric study is not easy to get. Kathopanishad says this very clearly. According to the work, whatever you have done in the past, you will get a womb, you will get that particular body. According to the knowledge which we have, you will get a proper environment. Many people want to study, but they don't get that environment to study. Many people have the inclination, but they don't get chance to study. So there is a very big program or programmed life in this world. That is what we call it as the law of karma. It's a very, very important aspect of our Shastric belief, that there is a mind which continues from birth to birth according to the knowledge which it has about the self. In general, what we go through in life as joy and sorrow is as per our vasanas and the quality of our mind. The mind decides who we are. Our thoughts decide who we are. And the mind is nothing but it's a flow of thoughts as per the vasana. And vasanas, I have no power over them. They just express. Suddenly I get this vasana, suddenly I get this desire, suddenly I get this inclination, this thought suddenly comes. But how do I control this tendency? This tendency, how do I control? Many people are lost. They don't know what to do. They don't know suddenly, because you see, they are facing some mental thoughts. At the same time, they don't know what to do, how to control. That is where you come to the Shastra. You learn certain aspects of the mind. Slowly, slowly you learn. Go try to understand the mind better and better and better. And with the power of the Shastra, with the power of the knowledge of Atma, you can control the tendencies. So it is the Shastra, it is the scriptures, they help us to overcome our sobhava, our nature with which we are born. So vasanas creates the belief system, it creates the faith, and therefore the title of this chapter is called as Shraddha Traya Vibhaga. Vibhaga means difference. Distinguish the Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. Shraddha, the faith. So from this verse, the title of this chapter is given, Shraddha Traya Vibhaga Yoga. The body is not in the past, it is there in the present, it will not be there in the future. Therefore, do not spend too much time with the body, come to the level of the mind. Mind comes from the past, mind exists in the present, mind will continue in the future. Educate the mind with proper study of what lies beyond the mind. That can be done only when you have Shraddha. There is something which I don't know, which controls this mind, which is the power of this mind. So in this verse, the description of Arjuna of the three kinds of people is said. Some who take to Shastra, they overcome Rajasic, Tamasic tendency, they become Sattvic. Some reject the Shastra, they are Asuric people. Who completely deny existence of the Shastra. So they are always Tamasic. The third is they have only a belief system. That category is what is being addressed in the third verse. Sattvanurupa sarvasya Shraddha bhavati bharata Shraddha mayoyam purushaha Yo yat shraddha sa eva saha. Now here the Lord starts giving details of the Shraddha. Man consists of his faith. That is how the teaching of Shraddha starts. Every person is nothing else but the faith in which he governs his life. I have full faith that I will reach the goal of my life. That is a strong faith in a seeker. This is one type of faith. I know that I am missing something in life. I don't know my real nature. I'm going to have the study and I will progress. Some people are totally lost. They don't know because they don't have the scriptural study as a compass. And to them, what happens is the vasana is the nature of their mind. And it plays a big role. So Sobhava becomes the cause of their faith. Their own Sobhava, likes and dislikes, which has got no exposure to Shastra. So Shraddha, which is based on the nature of mind, which is Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, that nature is a cause. One is Swabhava. The second is, one is the instrumental cause. Instrumental cause means it is the way in which I develop Shraddha. It is the instrument. We will study, when you go to the next verse, you will understand this better. Your altitude depends on your attitude in life. We have seen this saying goes, your altitude, that means how much you rise in life. Do you reach the pinnacle of life? Or are you caught up in the lower rungs, or you reach the middle path? It all depends on your faith. It all depends on your attitude. You have a positive attitude, you will reach the highest. Many seekers I have seen, they go with very, very positive attitude. Yes, I know, I don't know a lot today, but I will follow. See, that is the very, very important quality required in a seeker. Consistent, systematic study of the scriptures for a certain length of time is required. It is a discipline. It is not, the spiritual study is just not just like reading a book or novel or something. It is a consistent study. Every week you study 1.5 hours. You listen to the scriptures. Again, you come back next Saturday. Again, you listen. Again, you come back. So this way you're developing the mind. So the faith based on Shastra is Sattvic. The faith based without the Shastra is Rajasic. Without the Shastra is based on your own thoughts, likes and dislikes. We say Maya. Maya means full of, Chinmaya, full of knowledge, full of prajnanam, consciousness, full of knowledge. That is what is Chinmaya. Sanmaya means full of Sat, existence. Anandamaya, full of Ananda. Shraddhamaya. Shraddhamaya means full of faith. Based on faith, based on faith which is based on a belief that I will reach there one day. A Rajasic person, he will say, I will do what I want to do. You don't tell me what I should do. This is the nature of a Rajasic person. You may try to guide him and say, come on, what you are doing is not right. It's just you are going as per your likes and dislikes. That is not the way to lead life. Please understand there is something right, something dharmic. Please follow dharma. So that is the difference between a person with the faith and without the faith. What you feel correct is your belief system. And the belief system comes because of your past vasanas. There's another universal belief, I will be always happy and peaceful. That is another belief. Another person says, no, I will do as per what I like. So the belief system is mental, and then based on this belief system, the effect of that is an action. The actions are the lingam. They are the indicators. That is the final effect. But what lies behind those actions is our belief system. And there are twofold lingams. Lingam means indicator. It is not the Shivalingam here, it is the lingam. Lingam here means it is an indicator of what is there in our mind. What do you worship? What do you admire? And how do you worship? The nature of worship. So there are 3 verses in which the Lord expands the Shraddha. He tries to expand his answer. What is Shraddha? Now he is going a little bit deeper. What do you worship is said in verse number 4. How do you worship is said in 5 and 6. Yajante satvika devan yaksha rakshasi rajasaha pretan bhuta ganashchanye yajante tamasa janaha. The altar of our worship, is it Sattvic, is it Rajasic, or is it Tamasic? What are the Sattvic altars? The Surya Devata, Vayu Devata, Agni Devata. Now these are all the Vedic Devatas, the 5 elements. Devata means a power. They have that, there is a power in these Vayu. You can see what a thunderstorm can cause in this world. So there is a power behind that Vayu. Agni, there is a power behind. Prithvi Devata, you see so many trees growing, so much of variety of food. The Prithvi Devata, there is a power behind this earth. So the Vedic culture, they believed in the divine forces. So if I also today start admiring or worshipping the Surya Devata, the most popular Devata is the Surya Devata. Because nobody can miss the effulgence of the sun every day when we get up in life. There is a power. What a tremendous power it has. It gives life to the whole human living beings on the earth. So that is what is called as Sattvic Devatas. The worship, the altar of worship is Sattvic Devata. What is the opposite of it? Rajasic. Rakshasas, Kubera. I will only worship the Lord of wealth for my own pleasure and comfort, not for the society. And the third type is Tamasic, like you keep the altar of some spirit, some ghosts, and then you do some midnight prayers and you chant some shlokas. Why do you do this? Because I want to hurt my enemy. Not for the society to have good things in life, but with the purpose of hurting someone. What you admire shows your belief system. What is the altar of your worship shows your belief system. The material goal should not be divorced from spiritual goal. You should go after the material goal, no doubt. But at the same time, don't lose your ultimate goal of knowing that Lord. Who is that Lord in me? How can I reach him in this body? That should be the ultimate goal. That should be the altar. Our own self, the Lord in this body, who is the Aham in this body, should be the final altar of our worship. When we meditate with that altar. Oh Lord, you are there in this body, giving me that consciousness, that power to think, that power to speak, that power to see, that power to listen. I cannot see that power through my eyes or the sense organs. I cannot reach it with my organs of action or through the mind. The only way I can reach you is through the study of the scriptures. This is the Sattvic belief. Now, the Lord says, let us see the mode of worship. Ashastra vihitam ghoram tapyante ye tapojanaha damba hankara sanyuktaha kamaraga balanvitaha. How do the asuras they worship? They practice austerities which are not in the Shastras. Frightful, awful austerities. Show off, ostentatious manner. I am the best. I will sit on a hot plate in the midday sun above me, stand on one leg for 8 months. I don't want to eat food. I will torture my bodies. These are all the asuric tendencies. Be careful. Do not go after them. They are not. In the next couple of verses, you will see why they are not good. Some people, they say, I will stand till Shiva comes down and sees me. They want to force Lord Shiva to come now. People who are Sattvic, they are asking the question, why don't you just love him? He will come. No, I have my own ways. That is called as Damba, egoistic people. I will control. I will bring Lord to down. They read all these Puranic stories and they think that they can do the same as what the Asuras did in the past. The love for God is Sattvic, and you will have and when you force God to give you certain phalams in life, fruits in life, that is Rajasic and Tamasic. Don't be adamant, express your strength and power towards the Lord. This is what is called as Rajasic, Asuric tendency. You are torturing the Bhagwan, the reflected consciousness in this body, which is this Ahankara. You see, what happens is there is a reality in the world which is expressing as the Jiva and the Ishvara. Ishvara means the totality. Jiva means the individual body. The total body is the Ishvara. Now that is a reflected consciousness. So whenever you're doing something unjust in the society also, you are hurting that Ishvara principle which you can't see. By eyes, you cannot see that reflected consciousness, that God principle. Similarly, in each one of the bodies around you, there is a reflection of that Bhagavan. So when you hurt somebody, when you are angry with somebody, you must become sensitive to understand that that person also has the same Ishvara's reflection which is the power in him to function. So with this attitude, I will look at the whole world in a different way. World becomes like an altar of worship to me. In India, we could worship so many different types of deities. Every tree, every plant, every cow was could be worshipped in India. Anything, a stone can be worshipped, because you are superimposing that reality in that object of worship. Bhagavan continues the nature of worship in the 6th verse. Karshayantha sharirastam bhutaga gramam chetasaha mam chaivantha sharirastam tan vidya surit nishchiyan. So some people, they torture their body and torture the Lord, who is in the form of reflected consciousness in this body. He's just continuing the same verse because he wants us to drop this. Lord exists in all bodies as the life principle. And this life principle is the witness consciousness. For all the actions we do, there is a consciousness in this body which is witnessing. It is guiding you, but you don't listen because of your likes and dislikes, and you go against it. Again, you have to come back and go and listen to the voice inside. So Asuric, they torture their bodies, and thereby the Lord seated in their hearts. In the 18th chapter, the 61st verse, Ishvara sarva bhutanam riddeshe Arjuna tishtati Brahmayan sarva bhutani yantra rudhani mayaya. This is a proof for the reflected consciousness, a pramanam. And what does it say? The Lord dwells in the heart of all beings. Ishvara sarva bhutanam, every living being is one who has got this reflected consciousness. Without consciousness, without awareness, there is not a single living being in this earth. So whenever you are trying to hurt someone, you are trying to hurt this Lord in that body. If you remember this verse, you will never ever hurt anybody in life. And this Lord is pained by what we do. The Daivic people or Sattvic people go as per the Shastras. We have examples of Ramana Maharshi, Buddha Bhagavan, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. These are all people who worshipped Devi, they had Daivi Sampat. And when you worship, what happens is you drop your ego. There's no more ego without ahamkara. Oh Lord, I am nobody except you are there in the body, I worship you. There is nothing else. Tapas makes the body and the senses luminous. Tapas means what? We will see that in the following verses. We will talk about that. But here we must understand what is the Devi nature of worship. And the Asuric nature is Rajasic and Tamasic, which is against the Shastra with Damba. Damba means with egoity, Ahankara, ostentatiousness. You show your strength, worship with Balam and Raga. Achetasa. Achetasa means without the knowledge of the nature of God. The body and the senses are made up of 5 elements, and they have to be maintained by us in a proper way. This body is a gift to us from the Lord to know our nature, to penetrate the body and see that light inside this body, which makes this body function. The Asuric people, they live without food. See, we can do some vratams, no doubt, but don't take it to the extent of hurting your body. The moment you feel that it is disturbing your body's rhythm, you should stop. You should have balance in everything. That is what the Lord will teach. How to create a balance in life. In yajna, in tapaha, in dana, in food, in vak, in speech. How to have balance, how to have control. Now, the Lord uses these 4 factors. And he will teach us through the method of sattva, rajas, and tamas, how these 4 factors can be used to change our thinking patterns. It is a practical method for us to learn and improve and to become a Sattvic, Shraddha mind. How to become Sattvic, how to have a faith which is sattva based. In order to teach that, there are 15 verses. There are 4 topics, 15 verses, each of them divided into sattva, rajas, tamas, very, very structured way of teaching. The first one is the food. What are the 3 different types of food? What is Sattvic food, Rajasic food, Tamasic food? The next is the yajna, worship, which we do. What is Sattvic worship, Rajasic worship, Tamasic worship? Penance, tapas, austerity. What is penance at the body level, speech level, mind level? Then how do we do charity? Sattvic charity, Rajasic charity, Tamasic charity. All this will train our mind to become more Sattvic in life. This chart is a broad summary of how these 4 factors are taught. And the moment you understand this chart, then all other verses, 15 verses, will become clear. So now we know, we have already studied that Shraddha is 3 types. When you worship different gods which are Sattvic, you are called as, you have a Sattvic faith, which is what we have seen in verse 4. If you worship yakshas and rakshasas, you have Rajasic faith. If you worship the spirits, you have the Tamasic. What are the 3 types of food? Because the food has a direct relationship with your mind. The Lord himself will explain that. The subtle portion of your food becomes the mind. Therefore, the subtle, whatever food you take, some part of it becomes your mind. Therefore, you should have Sattvic food. What is Sattvic food? That which is delicious, which gives longevity, health, strength, and happiness is Sattvic food. What is Rajasic food? Bitter, sour, salty, pungent, hot, spicy. It causes pain while eating. Rajasic food. What is Tamasic food? Half-cooked food, without any nutrition. Food kept in the fridge for 2 weeks and eaten. They are all Tamasic food. Don't do that. Try to eat fresh food, cooked every meal. That is what will give you Sattvic mind. What is the type of worship? Sacrifice which you do, yajna. The rituals which you do. What is Sattvic? The one which is done according to the injunction of the scriptures, without expecting results. I am doing it for purifying my mind. That is Sattvic. rituals, Sattvic sacrifices. Like going even to a temple. Oh Lord, don't ask for this and that, that becomes Rajasic. If you say, I want only purity of mind, it becomes Sattvic. That which is done for the sake of show, for damba, for getting your name on the newspaper the next day, for the sake of some result, that is Rajasic puja or Rajasic rituals. That which is done without any rules, without any faith, without proper mantras or dakshina or food distribution after the ritual is over, that is called as tamasic. So right way, there is a right way of doing a ritual. There's a wrong way of doing a ritual. So all these three are mentioned and described by the Lord. Charity, that which is sincerely given to a deserving person at the right time, proper time. When it is hot summer, don't try to give winter clothes as charity. And don't expect anything in return. That is Sattvic charity. That which is reluctantly given for the sake of a return. Oh, I will give this to him so that he will look after me, or he will give me this. He will look, I will get some benefit out of him. I give today, but I'll get something tomorrow. That is Rajasic. And Tamasic is you give, but you insult the person top to bottom. You shout at him, and then you just give him the money, and he goes. Without any respect, undeserving, and also you give it to undeserving person. The fellow doesn't need the money, and you just go and dump the money on him. You give it to him an improper time, improper place. That is Tamasic. I'm giving you a summary of what is going to come in 15 verses, which we will start maybe to either today or maybe we'll just make a beginning, but we'll continue it next week. Tapas. There are two ways in which the Lord describes tapas. There are three types. The 14th verse, he talks about kaikam tapas. Kaikam means by the body, done by the austerity, done at the body level, verbal level, and mental level. So the kaika tapas means it gives you self-control. You worship gods, Brahmins, elders, wise people, pure people, do namaskarams to elderly people. That is all Sattvic. And it is a physical expression of your mind, Sattvic mind. Then there is Vachikam tapas. How do I speak in my day-to-day conversation? And the Lord gives us 4 rules of speaking. Very beautiful verse, the 15th verse. The speech should be harmless. It should be truthful. The second one, the second quality of the speech. Third is it should be pleasing. And the last one should be beneficial. Every word we utter in this world should have these 4 filters. Quality control. Then you will find that your speech becomes perfect. This is a very practical lesson. One of the best verses I like in the 17th chapter is this verse, 15th verse. It tells you how I should control my speech. If you're able to control your speech, you will not be suffering a lot in life. You will be able to control your suffering. A lot of time, by a wrong utterance of a few words, you can hurt a person which can last for a few decades. Just by simple words, you can control your life. Manasam tapas. is gentleness, purity at heart, brings tranquility. A lot of meditations will come under this type of tapas. Then the Lord describes the Sattvic tapas, Rajasic tapas, and the Tamasic tapas. What is Sattvic tapas? That which is practiced without results, expecting results. That which is practiced with expecting the show of name, fame, so on is Rajasic. And what is Tamasic tapas? That which is practiced with a false notion. And by torturing your body, by torturing others, that is Tamasic austerity. The 7th verse, Aharyaswapi sarvasya trivido bhavati priyaha yajnas tapas tatha danam tesham bhedamimam shruno. This is an introductory verse of what is going to come in the following verses. What we worship, how we worship, what are the different foods, what are the different worship, yajnas, austerity, what is dhanam, how are they all divided into sattva, rajas, and tamas. Now, this is in this chapter. I told you that the same categorization will come in the next chapter. I want to give you what will come in the next chapter 18, which is the Lord analyzes the following factors. Number 1, what is renunciation? Sattvic renunciation, Rajasic, Tamasic. What are the 3 types of knowledge? Sattvic knowledge, Rajasic knowledge, Tamasic knowledge. What are the 3 actions? Sattvic action, Rajasic, Tamasic action. Sattvic karta, Rajasic karta, Tamasic karta. Buddhi. What is a Sattvic buddhi, Rajasic buddhi, and Tamasic buddhi? Willpower. Again 3 types. Happiness. Again 3 types. So there are 3 plus 3, 6, and 1, 7. 7 factors are going to be analyzed in 3 categories in the next chapter. So in this chapter, we have 6. In the next chapters, we are going to have 7. Totally, by analyzing 13 factors, 13 exercises, we can develop our nature from Prakruta Purusha to Samskrita Purusha. From Tamasic faith, I can go to Rajasic faith. From faith is the fundamental for all these 13. Faith is the substratum. Based on your faith, you will do these 13. These are all expressions. So Tamasic to Rajasic, Rajasic to Sattvic, how do I grow in life? The 16th verse tells us an analysis of the human mind. The 17th and the 18th chapters will tell us how to change our mindset from our tendencies, which are Tamasic, how to change them, not jump straight from Tamasic to Sattvic. Go systematically from Tamasic to Rajasic and then to Sattvic. By controlling these 13 important factors, my mind can be refined. Many people don't know how to purify the mind. These are the 13 factors. Study these 13 factors again and again and see whether your mind is becoming purer or not. You will find that you are in each of these factors, you are growing. When you're doing a systematic study of the scriptures, all these 13 factors will grow. This is a promise by Lord Krishna. When you are in constant touch with the scriptures, week after week, let the study go on for another 10 years, 15 years. Don't miss it even 1 week. Every week study the Gita or Upanishads. Let it be like you are taking a bath, like taking food. Let this be the food for the spirit in you. When we develop this pure mind, the Mahavakya is uttered to us. Tattvamasi. In a pure mind, this works wonders. It's a magical word. Tattvamasi is a magical transformating sentence. It's a Mahavakya. It sets ablaze the fire of knowledge in our mind. It destroys the Sanchita and Agami karmas. And the Jiva is rendered free in this life as a Jivan Mukta. So you can track yourself with these 13 factors throughout your life. Just track your own life. Is my willpower becoming better? Am I becoming a better karta? Have I renounced certain things in life so that I can see the glimpse of that pure light of consciousness? These are the ways in which we purify our mind. A very beautiful section of the Bhagavad Gita, practical section which will teach us. Everywhere he will tell us the three types, sattva, rajas, tamas. You can try to see, we will get a lot of inputs when we actually do the analysis in our own mind. The basic classification is devas, asuras, Sattvic people, Rajasic and Tamasic. The food is dearer to all. Every day we take food in our life. What type of food should I take? What type should I avoid? That we are going to see next week. Verse number 8. Very good section. From now, 14 verses are there which will go after all these three types. With this today's talk, I'm sure you have a full understanding of what is coming in the next few months. We have few verses in this chapter, and then the next chapter is the biggest of the whole Bhagavad Gita. 78 verses. And what do we see there? I have given you a glimpse of that in this 7th verse of this chapter. With that, we will close today's session. If you have any questions, I'll be able to take it up. And Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachade Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyade. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Okay. Yes, Shama, you have your hands up. Go ahead. Let me know what you want. You can unmute yourself.
It's just so extraordinary the way you have described this whole introduction. I almost find it really how do you, when something is so wonderfully explained, one has no words to explain it. But what is so fascinating is that, you know, I was just reminded of the word Shraddha, the word, yeah?
Yeah, yeah.
It's the Sanskrit word which says Shrit and Dha. It's made of two components. Shruth means the highest, the best. Yeah. And dha is how do you hold it? So in this particular chapter, you've obviously highlighted that as one's Shraddha, so is everything else which follows, isn't it? How, depending on our faith or Shraddha, rest, how we manifest in life, what we think, what we do, everything just simply follows that, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. And you have said very beautifully that it actually from Prakrit to Sanskrit,
Yes.
or in English, we will say from being a primitive man, how do you become a civilized person? So even if you're not taking a spiritual aspect to the whole journey, even for an ordinary non-spiritually seeking person, it helps you to become more civilized, if nothing else.
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah, and you've given the whole description, and in terms of that extremely magical word you highlighted, you know, about the Tattvam Asi.
Yes.
It almost looks real now after this chapter, that it is so real that it actually is knowable, it's experienceable, that Mahavakya, you know.
Yes.
At least I don't have any doubt in my mind that it is doable.
Yes.
So, and what is incredible about your lessons that you've been doing, Shikhaji, and I'm ever so grateful. I feel it must be my punya karma that I'm attending your classes. You know, I wish I was a bit more serious earlier, you know, I was not. But even this part is so wonderful. I'll have to start from the very first chapter to go through all this again. So basically, right at the end, I want to say a big, big thank you on the behalf of everyone else. I am sure everyone else is saying. I just have one question, if I may ask. Yeah. So, you know, this law of karma. So the reason we are taking life after life is basically to finally have the moksha, where the jiva doesn't have to take any more birth. Is that correct?
Yes, you're right.
Yeah. So what I wanted to know, what about the avatara purushas, you know, who are anyway, you know, they have the highest and highest of qualities, you know. So there's avatara purusha and there is avataras, you know. So the Lord himself had to come down to earth, you know, to save the humanity, show us the dharma. Yeah.
Correct.
So that is the avatara. And
Yeah.
the other is avatara purusha. For example, you've quoted Ramana Maharshi, Paramahansa, and all of those extraordinary sages and saints. Were they not completely realized? Because otherwise, why did they come, you know? So it's a very strange question. I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, it's okay. So it's a perfect question. You see, regarding avatars, the Lord has described in the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, where he says, what is the difference between an avatara's birth and our birth? Avatara birth is not a fall. Jiva's birth is a fall from from the divine to the to this earth. The avatars, they take willful birth. That means it is the Lord himself taking a birth for purifying the world. You see, at different times. Now, that is the avatars. Then we are talking about Purushas who are like Ramana Maharshi, Ramakrishna Paramahansa, and so many people we have got practical proof that they also suffered in life. Not that they didn't suffer in life, they also suffered in life. Now your question is why they were born as this with this body? Were they also born to suffer and and what is their purpose?
Whether they had a prarabdha karma.
Yes, again the answer is prarabdha karma.
Oh, yeah.
They also had the prarabdha karma to come. For example, Ramakrishna Paramasa, his prarabdha karma was to educate Vivekananda. He took a birth because he had to be a guru for Vivekananda. So that is the law of karma. You see, that is the big blueprint of this entire universe, which is not seen. It is an unseen blueprint which exists. Like you are there in London, I am there in Singapore, Malati is in India. There is a blueprint for our get together today. There is some which is unknown. You are listening, I am speaking, she is listening. There is some controlling factor. They say that that is the Surya Bhagavan is the Hiranyagarbha principle. There is a total mind which controls this entire universe. Your mind, my mind, Ram Kumar's mind, Malati's mind, Bhama's mind, Babu's mind, Jacqueline's mind, all are all not separate minds. There is a controlling factor. So that controlling factor decides who will get born in what circumstances and what will be the last action of that person on this earth.
Is my spiritual journey also being controlled by this controlling factor?
It is. Your spiritual journey is also controlled by that total mind.
Universal mind.
Yes, universal mind. And what I really, you see, you yourself will realize this the moment you advance in the spiritual study. You will start seeing things happening in your own mind on which you have no control, and they are there. Every day you will see. I get up, just be a sakshi to your mind and say, today I will be a sakshi. Let me see what my mind is thinking the whole day. How does it lead my whole day? If you are able to do this for one day, you can do it for 1 week, you can do for 1 month, you can do it for 1 decade, and you can do for the whole life.
Yeah.
So you tell yourself, I'm going to do this abhyasa, practice. I'm going to see what this mind is doing the whole day.
Yeah.
Let me just be a sakshi to this mind in this body.
Yeah.
Each one of us can do this. And you will realize that there are certain tendencies which are there in the form of, the tendencies come in the form of thoughts.
Yeah.
And that thought is nothing but it is a karma phalam.
Yeah.
And it's a karma phalam which will come, it will fructify and it will go away. It will fructify, it will go away.
Yeah.
So, and if you see, our actions are based on these thoughts.
Yeah.
You see, I wanted to learn the Bhagavad Gita, I joined this, therefore my action is, I'm progressing in the study of Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
Now this is based on a thought. That thought, how did it arise in your mind? That is the question you should ask. You see, I have no control over these thoughts, but still they arise in my mind, and it is that which is called as law of karma.
I just wanted to illustrate that even the ordinary actions, the karmas, which actually would just happen or not happen, you know,
Yes.
but even that, I realize it has immediately taught me a lesson. And I'll just give a very stupid example. Like today I was stuck with my ordinary office shredder, you know, it was stuck. And it just ultimately I learned that this is really how in the mind, there is an obstacle which get obstructed. So there was some kind of a little tiny bit of paper. And then for me to actually persevere, no, I must fix it. I must fix it. And it was so amazing that I was then getting all the right tools and lessons as to how shall I do it. And it was just coming from inside. And ultimately, It was so funny. And I said, these are how my spiritual thoughts get stuck in my head. My spiritual thoughts also get stuck. So that ordinary action actually taught me about my spiritual obstacles. You know, that how sometimes, and I should not get in despair. I should just stay with it and say, no, I don't know the answer now, but I'm sure it will be shown to me, because you've said about the universal mind, which is controlling our.
There is one controller of this whole universal mind, which is there. Our eyes cannot see this. Our minds will never be able to know this, but there is that controller. And that mind, total mind, is also under the consciousness.
So that is a great
consciousness. That pure consciousness is the ultimate Satchidananda, which is the substratum. You see, substratum is a very simple word, but it has got so much meaning and power behind it. You know, it is the substratum of the whole cosmos. That awareness has got so much power in it. It is the power of this whole body, one body acting in this. What lies behind the eyes to see? What lies behind the ears to hear? That power is amazing. It is that power which I want to know. I want to reach that power. I want to be that power. And that is the thing which is pushing us from inside to study.
Correct.
Okay.
That in itself is a great Shraddha to have, you know, that there is something which is leading me, it is pulling me, and I need not have any despair at all.
Every person who has grown in spirituality, he will say one thing ultimately. He'll say that there is a power in this body which is pushing me to that goal. Every person, there is a power in this body pushing this body towards some goal which I don't know, but it exists. I don't know, but I'm being led from inside, not from outside. For all of us. Yeah, Malati, you had this question here on the chat box, different varieties in gods.
It first sentence you taught, then you elaborated that, and it is solved.
You got. See, this chapter is so beautiful. It will tell you about all the different types of questions you will have in your mind. They will all get answered, you know. When you analyze the 13 factors, then most of your questions will all be gone.
Yeah, right.
If you're pleasing a good person, you will get the good result in your life. If you are pleasing a bad person, and his bad work will affect you also, and you will also do the bad work.
That's correct.
That is like Sattvic deities and Rajasic deities, I think, like that.
Yes. See, many people do not know why people worship this type of deities, you know. Whereas this chapter gives us the clarity. You know, it tells us that don't go after the wrong deities and wrong motives and wrong goals in life. You are in the wrong path. And many people, they come to me, they see things outside, but they don't know why. But the Lord Krishna in this chapter clearly tells us, be sattvic in everything which you are doing. Be sattvic. Every time all your actions should be governed by the sattvic mind. And the best way to cultivate the sattvic mind is a daily study of the scriptures, and some amount of meditation will help you. Some type of meditation. It will make your mind sattvic, and you will see there is a lot of change in you. Because the only way to change your thinking pattern is by reflecting on your thoughts. And that happens automatically when you are meditating. There is tremendous power when you are meditating, when you are looking inward, because you are seeing, you're going from the external to the internal. you're seeing your own mind, which you don't get a chance if you're just living your normal life. You don't get this chance at all. That is why in the Wednesday sessions, you will see my meditation sessions are so powerful. It takes your mind completely inside, you know?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Any other questions?
Well done.
Shekharji, good evening.
Yeah, Uma.
Okay, Shekharji, I have been wondering about this, but I want your assurance. You see, I want to spend more time into studies, into this Vedas and all that, not just listening or my meditation, but due to job commitment and family commitment, I don't get the chance to spend that kind of time. So I'm living in the hope that this is what I want and my life will lead to it. So I want your assurance that this is correct.
No, it will happen. You see, Uma, don't worry. It will happen in your life. A day will come when those things will automatically drop and you will take on this automatically. Because there is a power which controls this. You and I cannot push that power.
Yes.
You know, you ask Malati, she is saying, yes, it's 100% true in her life. You see, each one wants to do certain things. You see, but you can't do it because you are in a society, you are born, the law of karma is pushing you of taking care of things in your own family today. It is a push from inside. It will not allow you, but there will be a time when things will all fall in place. You see, you just have to be patient and slowly you will find that the life changes. Don't push it. It's okay. Let it. See, it's like the blossoming of a bud to a flower. You know, you can't prick the bud again and again. Come on. I want to see you. You become a flower within 5 minutes. You know. So if we are doing that, we are doing the same thing inside our mind. Let the mind do. It's okay. If you are able to spend even half an hour, 1 hour a week on this, just listening to these scriptures, that itself is a huge achievement.
Yeah, I do feel it's even a blessing that I do get this half an hour or so in the morning.
It's good, very good. You know, what you are doing, you tell your own mind, I am blessed to listen to these scriptural texts and I am very blessed. Always tell this to yourself. I'm blessed. I'm happy with my life today. Keep telling this to your own thing. Don't go with a negative feeling that I don't have time. I don't have this. You tell the reverse. Go reverse and say, I'm blessed. I have got this time. And in time, I will grow. I will find my path.
Thank you, Shekharji.
Go with that positive attitude, you will be successful. 100% the success will come.
Thank you so much. This is what I wanted to hear from you, actually.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Anybody else has a question?
I have no question. But I think so that the daily doses helps you a lot to transform yourself within.
Yes.
And somehow we listen to all the talks and forces us to go in a different path. And our duties must be done first without escaping from it. Because that is one of the main things that we are kept for. And these are the side effects we are getting from spiritual knowledge to enrich us with some sort of strength to face everything.
Yes.
So you feel that you cannot leave out scripture talks and all that. It has become part of your nature.
Yes.
So that's why I think it's very important that people don't just completely devote everything to them. There are other areas they also must take care of.
Yeah, that's correct. It's a good thing. Chandra has been associated with the study. I know her for the last 25, 30 years in Singapore, and I know that she is a very devoted soul. Constantly for 30 years, you can imagine, studying the scriptures, studying the Upanishads, studying the Brahma Sutras, and a lot of self-study, listening, Shravanam, Mananam, at the same time taking care of the family, that is what she is telling us today, that it both have to be done. You cannot drop one, and you cannot just take on to other, because we are not ready. When we are ready, things will come at their own time. So it's good, Chandra, what you have said. It's a good example to all others.
Yeah, it gives strength.
Yes, that's correct. It gives you mental strength. You see, this study gives us the mental strength to face a life much, much better than what we can without the study. You see, that is how we should look at it, and thank for your blessings. You see, that is a very important fact to be contented in life, not to keep on complaining, I don't have this, I don't have that, and and count your blessings. And this is a very important lesson which I feel is very precious. Do you have an opinion, Jiva as a man or woman is more or less spiritually more blessed in terms of Sattvic or Guna? No, which is the same for both men or women. It makes no difference whether you're a man or woman. You can be Sattvika with a male body or female body, doesn't matter. Ultimately, this Sattvika is to do with the mind. The mind has no gender. The body has a gender, mind has no gender. Mind is Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, Gunas. It is a flow of thoughts after thoughts after thoughts. For birth after birth, it is not one birth. That is this beautiful creation of ours.
I only asked that question. I was inspired by Chandraji's comments. Yes. And it just so happens almost universally, so many women friends of mine, I realize whether they are working or they're homemakers, they almost feel so acutely responsible, intensely responsible for the welfare of the family. Yes. While men in general, with no disregard to men in our group, I find that very strange as to how is it, why is the guna so differently being manifested? Is there a gender component?
It is only vasanas. It's only the vasanas by which they are brought up. That's all.
Really? Okay.
It is their own vasanas. You will find all types of this vasanas type of people in every society, in every family. So it is the vasanas. The vasanas also don't have any gender. Okay. It is something beyond gender.
Thank you.
But consciousness is the ultimate, which is the awareness. Our goal should be to reach the ultimate thing, which is Satchidananda Swarupa. The mind analysis, all these gunas are all for purifying the mind. Mm-hmm. The 13 factors will help me to purify the mind, listen to Tattvamasi properly, guide, in a correct way, and dwell on Tattvamasi properly with the right understanding and be free. That's all. Okay. Anybody else?
Secretary.
Yes.
There's a question came up recently saying that can we control our own destiny?
You cannot control your destiny, but you can do actions which will help you. You see, what happens is, by the study of the Bhagavad Gita, you will be able to change the pattern of your thinking. When you change your pattern of thinking, you are changing your destiny. You see, our destiny means what? Destiny is what whenever you say destiny, you should use the word destiny only with reference to what I have experienced, not with what I'm going to experience tomorrow onwards. See, you say destiny, it was my destiny that I experienced this yesterday. I experienced this today. Don't use the word destiny for tomorrow, because that is under your control. You can change it. You can change your thoughts of mind and be a better person. Without that ability, there will not be a fourth purushartha called as moksha. Moksha is possible only when you can change the destiny and say, I am free.
That means you are bound by certain
Yes, you are born
gunas and all these, right?
with certain vasanas, with certain tendencies, born, but I can change that. That is why I have got this opportunity to go to the scriptures. With that, I can change and then be free. Good question.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Yeah, but
Shekharji, no questions from me today.
okay, all right, okay, good. Anything else? Anybody else? Yeah, Ramkumar, tell me.
The question is fasting, asuric. Fasting.
Yeah.
Is fasting asuric? Or because as per the knowledge of what we have read, it is asuric fasting. Not eating.
I'm not able to listen to you properly. Can you type your question? Or can you write to me separately? I'm not able to understand. Is somebody able to understand the question?
Maybe others can mute themselves.
I'm not able to. Can you say it again?
Is fasting asuric? Did you get it? No.
I can understand Asuric, but I don't know what you're asking about Asuric. Can you type or you just send me an WhatsApp message? I will come and explain to you directly. Oh, is fasting Asuric? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay. No, fasting is not Asuric. See, fasting is a tapas, is austerity. Now, if it is done in a balanced way, which your body can undergo, it is good. You see, by fasting, you're controlling the sense organs of the tongue. By controlling your tongue, you are able to say, I will be able to control the rest of the other senses. Okay, so that fasting is good. But suppose you say, I will fast for 15 days or 21 days without any food. I will live on water. That is wrong. That is asuric. You fast and then you will say, I am going to stand on one leg for 3 months. That is asuric. Okay, so the penance which you take to control your sense organs in a moderate way is okay. I know some people, they observe silence once a week, morning to evening. They don't speak because they want to control their speaking. So that by doing that, what happens is they are drawing their mind inward. You can say, I won't speak for 1 hour. I won't speak for 2 hours. Small things. So don't try to go for very big fasting, too much of fasting, too much of, see, anytime you find that you're giving pain to the body or mind, you must stop. You must stop. There should not be any pain to the body physically or mentally. Okay, I hope that answers. Anybody else? Okay, so with that, we'll stop and we'll continue next week. Thank you and good night.
Right. Nice, Shekharji.
Good night, good night.
Hari Om, Shekharji.
Hari Om, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shekharji. Good night.
Yeah, thank you. Good night.
Thank you, sir. Good night.
Thank you, Siddhant.